Okay, this is part of my Did You Know series. Basically, I have another video that I linked to all these that shows how I built the campaign and what extensions I use. But this one's centering on how I do my character creation initially for a PC and my generic campaigns. And I'm going through and showing you the advantages CW that overwrites a lot of the CW character wizard. And it uses module priority, and I also use arid host supplemental data. And SmiteWorks is pretty bad about handling supplemental data, and it can be a real pain when you're trying to use the standard stuff. So I've overwritten stuff with a variety of extensions, and also provided my own little class module there where I have defined classes which only have links so that they're not stomping on anyone's license privileges, so they'll link to the original piece's information. But basically it has all the links to arid host data so that I can use my supplemental data, and any classes created by my characters will immediately already be linked to the right spells and classes and everything else. Also, I've got feats in there to take care of all those annoying things that they usually have as text only, so that they're selectable and can have put out into maps and abilities and the actions tab. And you can see where I've got arid host spell, which just has a raw link to WotC spell, and that's just for licensing stuff. But I just do this class thing for myself. It's not really out there in it for anybody, just for my players. That way everything I want in the game is in those classes. And of course I set the module priorities so that the overrides that I want also happen when there's duplicate data. Like here you can see Barbarian. I can set the module priority so that it will get it out of PHB instead of out of my specialized classes, just by changing the priority, who has the higher priority. And both Equipped Effects extension and the Advantages CW share that module priority code, and it just lets me use both those things to keep track of what I really want and make it priority. Because in the world of SmiteWorks, you basically get a global search returned of all the modules in the alphabetical order, but as you unload and load them in the game, they will change that order. So as long as you're coming up fresh, they'll always be alphabetical, and that's why arid host data, which is supplemental data, is alphabetically set, so it just works. But just to make sure, I'll set the module priorities on things I want to have for sure taking precedence. Not that I'm going to be loading or unloading modules once I start a campaign. At this point, I'm just showing how I'm making the character. And also, if you ever create, like in the Barbarian example I gave in here, there's plenty of Barbarians, but I make a copy to go into the local just to show that local always trumps modules. So it'll always be the one that gets picked. And the spells and everything else in here are going to be picked by the module priority, and in this case it's going to be arid host data. And I'm just showing the character creation and how I do it with my series of extensions, all listed in the original video on how to make my campaigns. And this is the first Did You Know what I can do with Character Wizard. And I also use this in my Star Wars games, my SW5E games, where I've made the modules myself based on Pico's data he had and based on SW5E data from 2 years ago or something. I'm not trying to keep up with the SW5E in my games. But I can use Character Wizard in my version of it, because it's agnostic on where the data comes from, and it's not trying to hard code anything or force anything. It's dictated by what's out there and what has priority. Here you can see me getting the spells, and you can see that they're arid host spells because they had summaries in. That's how I tell off the bat. And I'm just filling out the character now, as you would in a normal game, except I'm getting all the right things because I've got my classes and I've got my module priorities set to never make me do any work. I'm a very lazy DM. I mean, I'm gonna want things to just work out of the box as I click them. So, and I'll go to extreme amounts of work, writing extensions and other data to get that to happen. You know, I hate data. That's why I leave it to Eridho. He just has it all defined with BCG, auras. Well, he didn't have auras. I have auras in my SW5E stuff. But I'm just saying, you can make data have whatever support you want in it. But the idea when you start a campaign should be you never do anything. You're done. You're just dropping things. Like here, I'm going to drop him into the party sheet. That's what I usually do. I always put him in the marching order. And then I'll drop him into the combat tracker. And when he drops in the CT, it usually takes a little while because he's going to look up all these spells and things that he's got attached for a wizard. And he's got the custom effect already matched on there for me, and all the action tabs are already figured out based on Eridho's data. And basically the idea is I do nothing. I drop stuff and it works. I have to do no paying attention during the game of tracking stuff or making sure it's right. Not that that doesn't always happen anyway, but that's how these extensions get written. Some annoys me and I go write it for my players. Though most of my gaming right now is in the SW5E stuff, so right here I'm just going to show you the rest of this creation. I will let the video go out on itself. Oh, when I use a stock map, make sure it's not read-only. You'll have loads of problems. Just make a copy of it, and then usually I put it in a separate group name to make it easy access. And I've made advantages so it always remembers the group names. When you log out of an app and log back in, you'll be in the same group name you left, which I never understood why. SmiteWorks doesn't just do that off of normal, but it doesn't, so another extension had to be done to do that. Then I usually put my guy out, add him to a combat group. I'm not going to go through all the extensions I have and what they do. I'm just giving you an example of, did you know I can do this with combat group and have no input at all and just have everything work, because I have the classes and the links to them and everything else already preset up. And of course I have extensions that will allow combat character wizard to do what I want it to do. But I'll go into some of these things in different did you knows. That's about it. I'll let the video play out.